back. What's the guy? Understand. To this edition of our Oktoberfest. About today is all about Oktoberfest, and we within couple of slides we are going to see what Oktoberfest is all about and how the benefit that we are going to get out of it. So, but before we proceed, this is me. I am Rashid Mudasiru, and in case you meet me, you may want to dash me something. Okay, and basically what I do currently is I do anything DevOps. So I'm a DevOps engineer, and I'm here to talk about open source contributions through Oktoberfest today. So, if at any point you cannot hear me, you can try your best to let me know in any ways you can. So from that, I'll be checking the charts as we progress. So if you cannot hear me for long, try to get across to me in another platform. Okay, so open source contributions through Oktoberfest. That's why we are here, and this is our agenda for today. We are going to check what is Oktoberfest, what is all about Oktoberfest. We are going to discuss that, and who can participate in Oktoberfest, and as well we dig dive deep into we are going to check into how we can participate, and um we see a demo and we do it together here and see how it's been done by other people and how we can be part of it. To stop this guy. All right. So what is Oktoberfest? Um, Oktoberfest is a monthly long event, and this is the 10th one, and that is why it's coming with a lot of pack. Apart from in the past, we have different packs that come with it, but currently we have another perspective to the pack that we are going to get if you participate in the Oktoberfest. So basically, they are celebrating their 10th years. If you look at the logo at the right hand corner, you are going to see 110 like that. So that's where the count is. So they try to count it. They started around 2014. The first Oktoberfest was held in 2014, and since then they have been consistent. And every year people get to participate. People get to see what Oktoberfest is all about, what it brings to them. So let's dig deep and see what Oktoberfest is all about. So it's a monthly long celebration and collaboration on open source. So Oktoberfest bring us together, and what they want to achieve with this is basically to let us have a place or an environment to collaborate and contribute to open source. Okay, so the question could be, what's open source? We are going to talk more about what open source is and what problem it solves and why is it important to us in a bit. But for now, let's take it as okay. Oktoberfest is a monthly long celebration of collaboration and collaboration on open source. Okay, so another thing that comes with Oktoberfest is to ensure personal growth. It gives you an access to collaborate with other teams, be it from your country, from other country around the world, because it's virtual. Yeah, you can just go ahead and start contributing. We are going to see how that one is being done in a bit. So basic point is it gives you that sense of personal growth, and you get to participate within the community, and as well it's a miss or it's a way for you to collaborate and interact with different type of people, which we can categorize as teamwork. So so you are at the end of the day you get access to limited edition of swags. So they get to distribute different type of swags for you at the end of the month. So that's basically it. And the big question will now be what's open source itself? What's open source that you said you want to be celebrating of it? Because we are celebrating it in the month of October, we call it Oktoberfest. Okay, so what's that particular open source? What's the a system or a software that give permission for editing the source code, the code that runs the system or the software, that give permission for you to fix bugs that comes with it. Not that, oh, if there is bug in this system, you have to reach out to the owner of the system, then they will have to work on it, then release another update. But then you have access to it directly by yourself to do bug fixes, check out the code, fix the bug, push it to the main repository, and everybody gets to use it once it is being matched to the repository. Some of these terms may not be clear to some of us if you are just getting started. So as we progress, you get to see more definition and more meanings to those words I'm using, like match, like GitHub, and all of those stuff. So I need to check chat at this point. Okay, nothing is going on. Okay, so and as well, you can pick your system and enhance it in a way that you wish. And as well, you can still pick an open source project and tweak it and make it and commercialize it just based on the license that that particular open source is having. All of this, the term we use in open source license is what you will put to identify that, oh, this code, this is what you can do on it. You can actually edit it. It's true. You can fix bug on it, but then you cannot sell it. There's some license like that. So, and there's some license that you can do everything. You can commercialize it and get it across to people to use. Another way is open to collaboration. So if I'm having an open source project and I want people to be using it, I'm open to collaboration. People can come and contribute. They can they can let their voice known from that, and we can co-design the system, and as well this give us a kind of transparency on how the system works, the vulnerability that can come into the system, and along the way everybody gets to know what's going on behind the scenes of the software or the package or wherever that we are making open source. And lastly, uh, one thing that separates open source from other code bases or other system is the license. So it's the license that will tell you, oh, this open source, these are the kind of things you can do. The popularly known license is the GPL, which is the General Public License, that give access to 4 different things that you can modify it, you can distribute it, you can commercialize it, you can share it. So these things are the one that is incorporated into GPL, which is general public license that you can put into your system or your code base, and people seeing that kind of license, they know what they can do with your system, what they can do with your code base, and what they cannot do. So that's basically what open source is all about. It's just having a system, and the code base that run the system is made available for people to edit, to check out, to experiment with it, and even share it with other people as they like. So why is open source matter, and why is Hacktoberfest as a whole? Because we know that Hacktoberfest is like a subset of open source, because we are trying to celebrate open source through Hacktoberfest. That's the point. And yeah, so why is it matter for me to contribute? So number one thing is that you get to learn from others. Yeah, when we get to the demo session, you are going to see how learning from contributing can come into your life, and how you can use that to improve yourself and all of that. And apart from that, you get to be a better developer by learning from others. Imagine looking at the code base written by Google engineers. You get, when you try to study the code base, you get to see, oh, this I've not learned about this. If I'm writing this the approach I would take. I think this is better than this, and all of that. All of this, we are going to see it in the demo. That's why I'm trying to rush down the slides so that we can go to the demo. Another thing that comes with contributing is personal satisfaction. So you get to if you have an open source project and there is something that is missing out of this system, so you get to contribute it yourself, and everybody gets to satisfy with the system along the line. Another thing is mentorship for people that are just joining the ecosystem, or that are just coming up in the tech, or any skills that they are learning. So they want to contribute to open source. They get to see a lot of people how to do stuff, how to write code base, how to build their own startup, and all of that. All of this comes into play contributing to open source. So you get to have access to a bunch of network of people people that you may not even meet in your life if there is nothing like open source. Okay, imagine talking to people that are managing the whole React ecosystem. So all this one made possible by open source, and you get to grow your reputation and people get to know you, recognize you in the community and be like, oh, this is the guy that contributed to so thing and so project. To your CV, people on LinkedIn or Twitter on their profile, I'm a core and all of that. All of this, what it's doing is just adding to our they know how to do it for them to be able to contribute to this also project, the project that everybody is using, the project that the whole world is backing on. And another thing that comes with it is funds and swags. People will be like, oh, so how can I make the money? So if it's open, it's free. So how can the money comes in? So there's a lot of money coming out of open source. There are people sponsoring the project. There are sponsors from different organizations. There's a lot of way sponsorship can come in, and there's a lot of way people can get funded. And another way is people participating in other open source uh, initiative like outreachy, like Google Summer of Course, and a lot of them. So there are a lot of things, a lot of ways to get funds or to make money out of open source. But then the mindset from the beginning should be, I want to do this thing for fun. Because if you go to open source and in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, or 5 months, or even because you've not put that energy or you've not been able to reach that stage of getting money out of it. So what will keep you going is the fun that you have in doing it. So it's better to have the mindset of doing it for fun, and as you grow in it, you get to benefit the stocks and the funds and whatever thing that comes with it. So that's for people that are interested in participating. So, but before I continue here, I would like to confirm if you can hear me loud and clear. And if you can hear me, type one into the chat. And if you cannot hear me, that means I will not see anything in the chat. Okay, Daniel, you can hear me. Right. Thank you for the thumbs up. Continue. So the question now is talk about why what's in it for the individuals that want to participate. So number one thing for the company is that it ensures security for their system. Okay, so people get to a lot of people are using this system, and anything can happen. There could be vulnerability, there could be dependency vulnerability at any point in time. It may not even be the code written by an engineer in the company. It could be code written by someone else or somebody that is not even existing again. So if that case happens, people get to see that easily and get it known in the society or in the community when there is a lot of people using the system. You all remember the story of New. There is a lot of it's a database system where there is a vulnerability that affected everybody that was using Neo4j, but people was able to revert back to the normal state. So a lot of things come in handy for company, and they get performance. It give their system more performance. Taking Google for instance, Google have Google use bug in their orchestration platform, and they take out of this and take Kubernetes, give it to the whole world to use. Okay, so as people Kubernetes, people keep contributing to this missing in their internal service, or the one they are using internally, they get to improve from the community and all of that. Company that is participating in open source Hacktoberfest, to give their it make them feel fast, project. I get to know people who are interested, who are not interested, and all of that. If that background sound is disturbing you, I'm sorry about that. I'll get to stop in a bit. So another thing is feedback loop. You get to hear from the community what is doing well, what we are doing wrong, what we should improve, and all of that. And when thousands of people are contributing to one thing, it will bring in what we call innovation. People get to innovate. There is a lot of people saying, "Oh, let's do it this way." Another person says, "This way is the best," and combining all this together make the system a very good one and a very robust and make the system a very good for the community to use. So, open source wins. Oh yeah, if your company is not participating in the open source still wins in the community. People still use open source projects. People are looking for open source alternative to a lot of projects and all of that. So, and lastly, open source is the base of web. Talk about web 2, talk about web 3, even the TBD guys, the web 5 teams, open source is also their back. So a lot of things comes into open source, and open source is the basis of our web. Basically, that's the point that's there. So the question now is, who is this Hacktoberfest for, or who is open source for? So if I say who is Hacktoberfest for, or who can participate in open source, it's basically people that can participate in open source that can participate in Hacktoberfest, and the other way around as well. If you can participate in Hacktoberfest, that means you are definitely participating in that I can be using open source and Hacktoberfest interchangeably as we progress. So for whom? So number one, people is people that are non-technical. If I say non-technical, I mean people that are not writing code. So these are the people that probably they are project managers, they are program managers, or something. Or something, they may not even be in tech, they are just here open source and they feel like, I want to go into open, I want to see what's happening there. Okay, so the first step or those kind of people, we can categorize them as people that can go ahead and triage anything that's going on the repository of the code base, and here they can check it out. Okay, so what does it mean to triage an issue? And here, so let's assume somebody comes to the repository and say, oh, I've checked out this product and this is the issue I'm having. I cannot log in. Okay, the team that will come up and be like, okay, let's go and check out if it is possible to log in. What's the issue that is coming up as we are trying to log in? So people that come up with that go ahead to check that and come up with full reports at the triage team. So they don't need to have the technical skill. They don't need to know how the code base works. They don't need to know how the designs works, how they want to check it. Okay, somebody wants to log in, they cannot log in. Okay, let me try it myself. Let me see what error I'll be getting, which error comes in as I'm trying to log in. So this is what is called issue triaging, and this is one of the simplest way to get started. Okay, you get to triage different issues for people, and people get to know that, oh, this is why it's working this way, and you are the one, you be in charge of saying, oh, I think if people cannot log into a system, it means they cannot use the system. If they cannot use the system, it means the system is worthless. So that means that kind of issue needs to be attended to very as urgent as possible. It needs urgent attention. So for that, you can help them attach a very severity tag to it, a very severity label. If this is a bit technical or the term I'm using is a bit big, so we are going to see them more clearer as we go. Another way is people that are studying law. So we still need law students here. So I was saying it's not for people that are into tech alone. So if you're into laws or you are into legal, so you can get to see, oh, how can you can ask, how can you be part of the community, or how can you contribute to open source, or how can you participate in Hacktoberfest? So one way is to come in with your knowledge of legal or your law knowledge, and get to see, oh, how license work, how people should interact with the license, if anybody go against the license of a particular project, so what is the punishment that will come with it, and how can we uh get to handle that type of case. So another thing is translations. If you have different repository, or you have different projects that people are working on. Okay, people from other countries may not be using English. Okay, and if you come up with our documentation with English language, that means people that does not understand English cannot use our system. So that means we need people to do translation for us. So that's another way of contributing to open source. You can go and pick it and translate the whole React.js code documentation to Hausa or Yoruba or any other language. So that's another way of contributing. So these two are the main core of open source community and advocacy. So people talking about what the project is all about, people sharing about it, people helping others to use the system. So that's one way. And the other way is coding and management, people that write the code base. So I don't want to deep, dig deep into that because people will like, oh, yeah, I don't write code, I don't know how to write it. So basically, those are the people that write the code, people that pick the features. Okay, we need to implement a login for people that come up with a login and people start using it. So those are the people that we can categorize under the coding and management. But another way is documentation. Even for a project to start from the beginning, we need to tell people how to use it. Imagine a system that does not, or a car that does not have a manual. So people may not know how to drive it. So for people to know that, we need a manual. So documentation is the manual of every software that we are building for people. So we need people because it's key. So for that reason, we need people to help us come up with the documentation. They may not be technical, they may not be people that know how to write the code, but then they get to understand how the system works and they write about it. Another people are the set of people that design. So if you're a graphic designer or you are doing UI or you do UX, whatever you do as a designer or you're a product designer, you get to in open source, we need your help to talk about, okay, this is how you can make this system better. This is what you need to do. These are the visuals that you need to put on this platform to make people use it, to help people with accessibility and all of that. I personally face an issue having design for my personal open source project because I believe I have the knowledge of design, but in the real sense, I need a designer to talk to be like, oh, this is the way you're supposed to go with it. And another set of people are set of people that do test. We need people that will test the system that we build for people to use. So these are many more ways of contributing to open source. So considering this and many more are the way of contributing, I'm very sure somebody on the call will be able to know that, oh, there is a way for me to contribute. And whether I choose to design, I choose test, I choose documentation, or even I just want to go and be triaging issues or want to be answering questions, people's questions in this in the community. So for the security guy, this is one open source project they can contribute to with their pen testing knowledge, with their knowledge of cybersecurity, SOC, and all of those stuff. There is Hunter project. There are many more of those projects. So this is an example of a request of a person that was trying to create a logo. Said, "Hey, I'm a graphic designer and I want to rebrand this logo." So and they accept it from the guy that, oh, go ahead, and he went ahead to create the logo, make a PR, and they updated their system with the logo that he created. So that's a designer contributing to open source. So for people that write codes, so you can be seeing Docker file and all of those stuff, features. So those are the people that write code, and we'll talk less about them today. So, but how can I get into it? How can you start contributing to open source? So the first thing is the knowledge of Git and GitHub. So the first stage, having the knowledge of Git and GitHub, and for you to get started with that, you need to have an account on GitHub or GitLab, because those are the platforms that are participating in Hacktoberfest. For you to be able to participate in Hacktoberfest, you need to have a GitHub account or a GitLab account as you wish. But I think the most popular one, or the one people use most in our area here, is the GitHub part. But all of them are good. But we should be very aware that it's not the same project that you have on GitHub that you have same on GitLab. There are some most of the projects on GitHub are not on GitLab, and the project on GitLab are not on GitHub. You should be very aware of that. Another thing is If you register on Hacktoberfest platform, you're going to see all of that as we progress. And lastly, you should be able to make four different or four accepted PR, so PR or pull requests in the month of October before 31st of this month. You should be able to make four different PR, and these four PR should be accepted by the maintainer of the project. Okay, so what's a PR? It's like a way of submitting what you've done. Back then when you were in school, or if you're still a student, your lecturer give you an assignment, or you have to submit it. The process of submitting that assignment is what we term as pre-request in the open source world. Okay, so you need the knowledge of Git and GitHub. You need to learn Git and GitHub. You cannot do without them if you want to contribute to open source. So will show us a document that we can just like a cheat recommended by Hacktoberfest team that you can just go through within 5 minutes. Or if you like, you can go on YouTube, search about it. You can get a 5 to 10 minute video and you get to kickstart your process. But then if you still follow along here today, you are going to see the necessary command we need to run and to be able to be part of the community or contribute. So the foundation of Git basically, so just to talk about Git a bit before we move on. So we have the working directory. So the working directory is your folder that you want to be working on your system. The folder you have on your system is that working directory in this context. Okay, so but then we have a command that will tell this directory and turn into a Git repo. So when you run Git init, you are turning your working directory, which is your folder, into a Git repo. So what's a Git repo? What's a Git? So Git is a version control system that manages how your system works together, how different stages the different milestones you are passing through to have a final system. Okay, it's like saying, oh, I am creating a system, for instance, and I'm trying my best to have different versions of it. Keeping track of these different versions is what we can term as the system you can use to keep track these different versions that you're having is what we can. An example of that is Git. Okay, so initializing that in your repository, in your working directory, we give you a Git repo, and we have a staging environment when after you've initialized your Git repo. If you run git add, for instance, you are staging your everything inside a working directory into an environment that is no more your laptop, but an environment that is about to get to the Git repo you created. And finally, you have your Git repo. So all of these are done locally. Everything you do Git, for instance, you do Git init in your working directory. That means you've turned it into a Git repo. Then you need to take everything inside that your working directory to the head of the Git repo so that the Git can keep track of it. Then you run git add to take it from working directory to the staging environment. Then you run git commit to take it to the Git repo. We are going to see it in the demo. Don't worry. So this is what I just explained now. Your working directory, you do git add with the file or the everything that you want to add to the staging environment. Then the git commit take it from the staging environment to your repository, your Git repository, everything you have locally. So for the Git commands, when we get to the Hacktoberfest website, we are going to see how we can uh, get to learn about them. Those of us that does not have the knowledge in the past, and the one that we need. So at this point, I would like to ask from the slide: is there any question before we go to the demo? Or yeah.